Great, thank you. Welcome, everyone. This is the February 24th zoning board hearing. We have two hearings tonight back-to-back, both the same applicant. So what I'll do is, before I open up the hearing, I want to have a motion to accept the minutes from the January 23rd meeting minutes for 25 Beaver and 310 Fortune. Do I have a motion? Motion by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. I'm going to pass this off to Melissa, please. Thank you. So what I'll do tonight is I'll read both of them because we'll be taking one in back of the other, so that way we don't have to turn around and open up after the other ones. So this is on the continued application of East Main Street Properties, Inc., 32 Hastings Street in Mendon. Comprehensive permit for general laws, Chapter 40B, in relation to a 14.64 acre more or less parcel of land located at 21 Beaver Street, which will be the first one that we'll take. This parcel is shown on the assessor sheet 44, lot 25A. Petitioner proposes to develop and construct a 103-unit rental apartment complex on the site with not less than 26 of the units to be restricted as affordable for low to moderate income persons pursuant to the general laws and requirements of the financing agency. Project eligibility letter was issued by Mass Housing in relation to the site on October 24th, 2024. With that, right after that hearing, we'll dive into the continued application on J. Lee Realty Corporation of 32 Hastings Street in Mendon. And this is a comprehensive permit for Chapter 40B in relation to a 7.8 acre parcel of land, more or less, at 310 Fortune Boulevard. The petitioner proposes to develop and construct 52-unit rental apartments on the site with not less than 13 of the units to be restricted as affordable to low to moderate income pursuant to the applicable provisions of the law and the requirements of the financing agency. This project eligibility letter was also by the Massachusetts financing agent in relation to the site on October 24th. So with that, we will jump on the first one, which is 21 Beaver. And I do have, stuff was coming in the last day or so, including this afternoon. I'm not sure board members had enough time to actually review anything because some of these came in a little late for the board to probably have time to review it, but we'll go through it. So with that, I have a couple of notes here. Can be over there. So the first one that comes in is the 21 Beaver. I don't want to mistake and get these mixed up, so we're hearing the 21 Beaver right now.
Yep.
So this came in from GHD out of Hyannis. This is the group for the sewer department. And this came from the chairman, Board of Commissioners, wastewater treatment, along with Mr. Marnini, the manager. They've completed a general review of the sewer infrastructure that would be impacted by the project and referenced above, and have determined that the work will only be needed to the town of Milford's Route 495 pump station and/or along the Force Main. This includes, but not limited to, the need for the following: an upgrade of the pump station capacity, including up to 400 GPM pumps, and expanded wet well, pump controls and associated control equipment and upgrades, electrical work to accommodate the new equipment, replacement of at least 1,000 feet of 6-inch forced main, and lining of at least 1,000 feet of the incoming 8-inch gravity sewer, associated pavement, engineering to bid the work, a project contingency and allowance for inflation. So with that will go into the 21 Beaver Street file. Any questions on this letter? Did you get a copy of this yet?
Yeah, they would have only got a copy today, like you did, so
Yeah.
it just came in, so they've got it. I doubt that
Okay.
they can respond too much.
Yeah,
of it.
that's fine. That's fine, as long as we have that. So I'd like to turn it over to the representative for the project. I understand we've got comments coming back from consultants on both sides, and I'd like to dissect a little bit and can give us an overview. I see that we have, and again, these came in late. So I had a long conversation with the fire chief on this site and the other site. Clearly, there was some concerns on accessibility. Some of these have, of course, been addressed. And please understand from the fire department's perspective, he's got a code he's got to follow. He clearly would like to have full access around these buildings. However, it cannot be forced upon him based on the code, as long as we can get to the code based on his code. So with that, why don't you go ahead and open up on the comments concerning the letter that came in today from the planning board?
Okay. Do you want me to go stand somewhere?
Whatever makes you comfortable. Whatever makes you comfortable.
Lynn Sweet, consultant for the applicant, LDS Consulting Group. I'm joined by attorney Jonathan Silverstein of Blattman, Grabowski, Haverty, and Silverstein. We are also joined by the representative of the proponent, Tarek, and our civil engineer, John Kushik from
John.
Bowler, and we also have Jason Adams from here for traffic from Bowman. Since the last hearing, we have submitted several items to the board for your consideration. We have responded to the traffic peer reviews. Jason has responded to them, and they have responded to us. We have submitted responses from Bowler Engineering to the planning board's comments, and in that response, we provided plans that showed a school bus waiting area as well with a shelter. And we have responded to the fire chief's letter of yesterday. And our consultants can certainly go through those responses with you. We're hoping to get some feedback on the sketch plans that we submitted so that we can finalize our civil peer review. And we're hoping to respond to the civil peer review by the end of the week. We just didn't want to finalize the plans and send that in, so we're hoping that we can cover traffic and public safety tonight and civil next week. And I'm going to let Jonathan speak to the letter that came in today with regard to sewer and how we're going to try and handle that. And then our experts can provide information on the documentation they've submitted.
Yeah, so I did review the traffic. There's some suggestions here, which I see that some of it was already addressed, and some future suggestions. So why don't we go ahead and turn it over to you, and you can kind of fill us in a little bit.
Yeah. For the record, Jason Adams with Bowman Consulting. Yeah, I'd be happy to walk through the comment response situation if you'd like, but I think there's really just a couple outstanding issues we had coming out of the first peer review. Completed additional traffic volume data collection at the intersections of Route 109 and the 495 northbound ramps, as well as the Birch Street, Beaver Street intersection to our south. That was requested by BSC Group. We provided updated traffic volumes, traffic analyses, and summarized all of that with attachments that went back in and has since been reviewed by BSC.
And we're still using the Mass DOT's 2019
Seasonal adjustment, correct? Yes.
5 years old.
Yeah, we work with what we have, but I know that they are in agreement with our approach to
Yeah,
that.
I did see that.
So we generally follow the same methodology as our original traffic impact study. Again, their comments were mainly about adding in the two new intersections. They did request speed data along Beaver Street, which we also went out and collected and provided that. John and his team updated site triangles on the project site plan so that you can see exactly where the vegetation needs to be maintained below a height of 3 feet to make sure that you have appropriate visibility. My understanding from the BSC letter is that they are good with where we are with visibility. We also had provided additional parking information. I know that was a big topic at our first hearing. LDS Consulting conducted a parking study of 2 existing residential locations that would be similar to what we're proposing here to determine what their parking ratio is. Their parking ratio is 1.33 parking spaces per unit. We at this site are proposing 1.52. So again, we had presented the industry-wide Institute of Transportation Engineers parking data. Originally, we went out and collected empirical data at 2 sites here in town, and both of those indicate that the parking that we are providing is adequate for the needs of our residents. I think that the way that BSC summarized that was that they suggested that our team perform a parking utilization study, at which point we can review if there's adequate parking.
Yeah, we're at 2, and you're under that, and I don't know if this board even has a flavor to go under the 2, but that's fine. What hit me was the speed area over there. That kind of was shocking.
It is a little bit higher. I mean, I guess I would just offer in that stretch of Beaver Street, there really isn't anything between Birch Street and getting up to the light. I think that a development like this, it does add something to the driver's perception of how fast they should be traveling. Like, that's a pretty natural, that when you have open roadway with nothing on either side, you're more apt to drive faster. So
What's the speed limit over there, do we know?
30 miles per hour. So it is quite a bit higher. I mean, my professional opinion would be that speeds are going to naturally come down with additional development.
Additional construction.
But either way, what we're looking to make sure is that the site distance for the given speed, the 38 miles per hour, is met, and that is true. There's appropriate stopping site distance, and we would maintain the vegetation to provide that.
There's one question that kind of stuck out on me, and it's coming out of the site. There was a suggestion to put directly across from the exit of the site a no right turn.
Correct.
That's wonderful. Probably should have another one there that says one way. Because, someone that's incapacitated or texting is not really paying attention. And unless you live there and you finally get used to it and you have a visitor there, besides right turn only, maybe there's got to be another sign right there when you're coming out, one way showing the arrow.
Sure.
Just as a suggestion for safety purposes. It's not something that's not unreasonable, but it also may have a secondary assist.
Yeah, we can certainly add that into the plan. I mean, of course, we want this to be
that's
as safe
fine.
as possible as well.
Okay. Yeah, the speed kind of threw me for a loop. Okay.
I also did want to add in for the school, for the parking, we did contact the tax assessor with regard to the number of excise tax bills that they were issuing for the Quill, which has been up and occupied for a while. Canso is not had, I think, a full year of excise tax bills that go out. And when we calculated for each of the properties, the number of tax, the number of tax bills versus the number of units was even lower than the car counting that we had done, which led us to believe what we suspected, which is on the weekend, that a number of the cars are guest cars. So we have checked it several ways in our research.
Right, so, okay.
Yeah, I mean, with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions of the board, but I think most of the traffic issues from a technical standpoint have been closed out with BSC Group, your peer reviewer.
Yeah, the rendering that we got this afternoon, I didn't print well, so it's not, of course, colored out. It looks like you tried to fit a dog park in a back left corner of the site heading north, it looks like.
Yeah, I can.
Is that true?
I can address them.
Yeah, that'll be helpful if you pop that up,
Certainly.
only because I'm dealing with black and white over here.
Yeah, no, I get it. We try to do it in color to make it a little bit easier. So for the record, John Cusick with Bowler. At the last hearing, this wasn't necessarily a peer review comment. At the last hearing, the board was very adamant about making sure we're looking for bus shelters. Talked about amenity areas. And had comments on a water line, which I'll go through real briefly. So you were very passionate about bus shelters. You felt it should be provided for this site and the other sites. So We actually had an area designated, but we're now showing a shelter. We thought this location made sense, wanted to review it with you. If you all agree, we'll incorporate that into the final plan set that we give you, but it's a logical spot right at the front. Makes
Yeah, the only comment that I would make is when you're making adjustments as we move forward, it would be nice to have a full plan like that for the board members, instead of me trying to print it out on black and white, just for future reference.
That's why we held back submitting the civil peer review, because we want to roll this in and we want to get you a new set of
Good.
full plans later this week.
What does that shelter accommodate? How many children?
We haven't designed it yet. For that, we just really wanted to show you the location, but we'll work with the architect to come up with that, and we'll provide you a rendering of what it looks like. But just wanted to acknowledge the location, make sure everyone thought it made sense, which I think it does.
And the dog play areas, is that also supposed to be a snow storage area? Has that changed?
Nope, the snow storage is next to it. But you asked if there was some additional area that we could provide from an amenity standpoint. Again, we've got the pretty large courtyard in here, but you asked if there was something else that we could do. So we provided essentially a fenced-in dog walk area over here, which seems to be a good location for that. I think it could get used quite frequently. Does not interfere with snow storage. That's way over on the side. And I feel like that's a no-brainer, a nice amenity, but just wanted to review it with you before we put it on the plan as a final to get back to the board.
Do you want to just talk about the planning board letter?
In one moment. And then another item, which is discussed at the, I didn't bring it up to it. We asked about just providing a water connection to the abutting property. We showed that on.
Yeah, have you had any luck making contact with them, or not yet?
No, and I don't expect we will get anywhere with it, so I think kind of what we talked about is we're going to provide a stub, so if somebody
Well,
wants to
I'm just
connect-
surprised that Nori or whoever allowed a loop over there. I'm surprised they won't allow a loop. Okay.
So
Yeah, I noticed that you provided an area for that on the
Yeah,
plan.
essentially doing what we can. We can't control off of our site, but we can just have our infrastructure go.
Would you explain why, just so for the benefit of the board, why the water department likes to have the water looped?
I think it has to do with in case there's one area that they have to shut a valve down or something like that, water can still flow through.
Yeah.
Just keeps water moving a little bit more. It might increase depending on if one line's bigger than the other. There might be some pressure enhancements. I don't know if that's necessarily the case there, but generally if they have the ability to loop water, they like to do it.
And the fire department's made comments on where hydrants would go?
Yeah, we've reviewed the access with the fire department early on, and they've got full access around the building. The truck can make all of the turns. We showed the sweat path analysis. We show hydrants per the spacing, no more than 500 feet on any of them. So I think everything is fine on that.
Yeah, he needed, what did he need for a width for the truck to make that radius? 20,
Code's typically 20 feet. It used to be 18.
well, now the trucks are wider and longer, so I think he needed something more.
20 feet.
Yeah, we've got more than that.
Yeah, you got 24 or 5 over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
24 is the minimum, I think.
Okay.
I think it's pretty straightforward from a fire standpoint. You had asked us just to respond to the planning comments that
Go ahead,
came in.
yeah.
A lot of them weren't necessarily something that needed a response. It was just more commentary than asking for clarification. But we have documented that as you asked us to do, and that was in the packet that was provided just to close that out for you. So happy to go over anything in more detail if
Do
you
you want to talk about the fire
Can I-
department letter real quickly?
That's the other site.
Can I just ask
Oh,
a
that's the
question
other side,
regarding
sorry.
the hut for the kids?
Yes.
I imagine that the flow of traffic will come in and either go to the right or to the left, depending on where they live, right? In that facility, in the building.
I suspect people might just park down on here if they're going to
Okay.
drop the kid off, or frankly, based on how close it is, they might not. I think they might just walk to it.
One of my concerns is, and this is just because I've experienced it before, is with the town plowing those roads, I think the opening should be not facing the street for the kids to be in, because we get 2, 3, 18 inches of snow or something like that, the kids may not be able to enter that area and get out onto the street where the bus needs to pick them up.
What you're suggesting is maybe have an opening here where they can kind of walk out to the
Just so the
front.
opening's not facing the road directly, because if the plow goes by and there's no one there to clean out that area, I don't want the snow piling up in there so the kids can't get in there.
Yeah, we can provide it so they can have multiple ins and outs.
Yeah, either
Right
just the
now-
opening,
Yeah, right now, you can come over
like, to
here.
the side, you know what I'm saying, or to
Yeah,
one side, so it's just
I'll-
not directly open into the street, the only opening.
We can certainly look at that, and also keep in mind that the property is going to be professionally managed, so.
Right, that's understandable, but
Yeah.
Just like Kenzo.
just from experience,
Yeah.
I can see plows going down the street and
Good
not,
comment. Yeah.
not realizing.
Yeah, actually, Kenzo did a good job with this.
Yeah.
So we know that, from the safety perspective, we know that the buses are this is a one-way street. They're going to be stopping right in front, the stop signs are going to be out, and they'll be able to, cross in front of the bus, and, because the doors are on the opposite side of the street. So having that there is a good idea, and because that was a good pickup concerning the opening up in that area versus the other way. Okay.
Yes, I think that's all you had asked for on this site at the last meeting. Let us know, and we'll incorporate it. I believe we've captured the concerns that I heard anyway.
You want to hear from John?
If John's got any issues, yeah, John, on the sewer, did you have any updates or anything further besides the letter, or?
Just a letter that it's definitely got to be worked on there before they
Okay. All right, good.
Is there going to be any water issues, John, as far as amounts, things of that sort?
He's not water, he's sewer.
I know, he still uses water.
Right.
What's that?
Did you foresee any issues with water regarding
For the
use of the water, yeah?
Sewage is going to be a problem. Miles below.
If you remember from Dave Condry's report, I mean, with the
Yeah,
work
but-
we did on the Godfrey Brook wells and the Diller Street wells, there's now more than enough capacity in the...
Now, without water, that doesn't work.
Well, but there is, the water's there.
Mr. Chair?
I'm still concerned about the amount of water in this whole thing. But anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Could I just speak briefly to the letter?
Yeah.
Obviously, we just got it.
Yeah, you've got to dissect it. Yeah.
Well, frankly, it's one page of bullet points with no supporting data. And there's not much to dissect. We had asked to receive some of the actual information on metered flows. We haven't received that. This is basically just a wish list saying, here's everything we want you to do. There's no justification. We have no idea how to evaluate it. It's really more a piece of advocacy than a piece of analysis. And this isn't a peer reviewer hired by the board. There's really no way for us to evaluate.
Have you, if I can interject, have you met with the sewer department at all? I mean, any of your consultants met with the sewer department?
I believe we have, and we've asked for that backup information, and the board asked them to give it to us at the last meeting. We don't have anything.
John?
So can I make a suggestion going forward? We are also going to have another consultant that we've hired, that wants to address this issue. If this letter was written by GHD, if they're the party who takes care of your sewers in town, chances are they have a lot of logs and a lot of information. And for us to be able to evaluate this letter, again, we're not saying we don't want to do something, it's difficult. So we would like to be able to have our consultant speak with this consultant and try and get the logs and information that are needed so that we can at least start to address the concerns and come up with some type of a response.
I doubt if that- I doubt if that's a problem.
We're guessing that
Yeah.
this is the company that.
I think,
that
I don't want
has
to speak for
those
John, but
logs and
GHD
everything.
is your consulting engineers, right?
Yes.
Replaced Tater and Howard?
Replaced Tater and Howard.
Okay.
We've been working with them and getting the information on the hours and the time.
So again, I don't want to speak for you, John, but
These numbers.
you don't have any problem with
You
them?
guys were coming back to us to talk to them, discuss it, and show it. I didn't know you were looking for.
We're looking for the data.
I thought that where we had left it last time
could-
was that
we
we were
could-
going to be getting
Well,
that.
Again, I'm sure if you work with John.
Even set up a sort of a kickoff meeting with our consultant,
Well,
with John,
yes,
with
right.
GHD, and we can put forth
That's-
the information that we need, and we can look at that over the next month. We came here tonight, to deal with traffic and
Sure.
safety.
Right,
We just want to make sure that it's okay for
That's perfectly
our
fine,
consultant to talk to your consultant, but we
Absolutely.
can't do that until we have permission. So we've got that permission, that's terrific.
Absolutely.
Okay.
John, you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, it'll come through me and the commission, and the consultant. Not just the consultant.
Okay.
Is that okay? Everything funnels through John?
Okay.
Sure, yeah, I mean, the goal here is just to actually have information.
Yeah,
Right now, this
none of this is
would be
getting.
You're right, there's not a lot of data there.
Right, we understand.
This would be like the fire department saying, okay, you need to buy us 5 new pumpers
Right.
to support this.
Right. Why? No, that's understandable.
You deal with the fire chief, you're going to deal with the sewer commissioner.
Yep, okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
Thank you.
Anything else concerning you want to touch on concerning the planning and the fire department additional from the recent correspondence?
I don't think there was anything from fire for this
We
project.
didn't get anything from Fire on Beaver. Did you get?
No, in fact, I think there was a letter, it indicated, if you read it, that he had no issues on Beaver Street, is what I recall. It was on our email, which I think
It was just
got
unfortunate.
distributed.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we don't have anything else on Beaver?
Yeah, so based on that, if the board's comfortable, we've addressed the CEI comments. I just didn't want to resubmit it till I knew you were comfortable with this. That way I can add it to the plan, so you don't get 2 sets of plans.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
I'll
I
add
think
that.
that's fine.
Yeah, again, it's the parking issue for us, I think, and you probably should try and take a look at that. And again, that's the bylaw that we have in town. That's what we've incorporated with the other 40Bs. No one is additionally special beyond that. I understand your methodology for it. I understand your follow-up backup for it. We also know these apartment complexes, they can have parties, they can have cookouts. There could be 20 cars showing up for 2 or 3 people's units that want to have, and this parking is going to be there. We have snow. So it is what it is right now based on our bylaws. All of the others had no problem cooperating with the 2 spaces. I understand the fight back. We're not going to get in an argument about it, but I think you're going to need to look at it. Because I don't want to go down the road and we start going through conditions, and everybody's going to be upset because we've been talking about 2 spaces.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask you a question, did I see something in something that you submitted that indicated a willingness or a suggestion that there be a condition? In other words, that we set it at the space you're talking about, and there'd be a condition after full occupancy? Did I see that?
Yeah.
That's not a word.
We agreed with the suggestion.
I just thought I saw that.
Reviewer of BSC,
Okay.
that if there's an issue, in all honesty, it becomes the owner and the developer's problem because they are managing this property and they are marketing to people.
Yep.
So, if parking becomes an issue, which we don't expect it will be based on parking counts, empirical data, assessor records for excise tax, then it's the developers. And that's exactly what you hired your peer reviewer. We have no problem with that suggestion.
Especially when you have a project, people aren't going to be parking on Beaver Street.
Yeah.
So, often the concern is, well, if you don't have enough parking, people are going to be
Parking in the neighbor's
parking
yard.
on the. That's not an issue here. That's not an option.
You have the bylaws, you have our bylaws.
I understand, but the
You
point of
did-
40B.
You did not provide 2 spaces under our bylaws. You want it waived. All I'm saying to you is, don't be surprised if it doesn't get waived.
Well, I guess I would hope that your counsel will tell you that there has to be a legitimate basis to not waive it, being that
If
there's
this- if
there's
this is-
evidence that it won't be sufficient.
I'm
not just
letting
that
you
it's
know
written
up front. So if you want to fight that, you can fight that.
And I guess I'd also point out that your own master plan that the town conducted specifically says that your parking requirements are too high. You know, and that's the town.
Let me ask you a
That's where our
question.
bylaws are right now.
If in the event we did say 1.6, and it exceeded that, whichever, depends how many people you got there, how many cars they got, do you have a contingency plan to handle the overflow?
We can have many contingency plans in place. First of all, again, our units are mainly one-bedroom units.
I understand all
So we
that.
have a lower bedroom count than the other spaces. It is going to be up. Ty owns lots of properties in a lot of places. If really there is an issue, he can go to whatever, a retail hotel, he can rent
We can't
spaces
rent it.
elsewhere.
If we don't have parking, we
Or we
can't
don't rent the
rent it.
unit. So we, you know, there
So you're
is.
telling me if you don't have parking spaces, you're not going to rent a unit?
How am I supposed to rent it if I don't have parking space?
Yeah, he
Well,
wouldn't take
there
that
goes the
risk.
2 spaces that the chairman's saying that we have for a bylaw. I just asked, the question was, if we do allow 1.6, and it becomes an overflow issue or a parking issue, do you have a contingency plan to address it? That's the question. Now, regarding you renting it, not renting it, I don't care. It's just a question, do you have a contingency plan?
If you put the condition in our permit that if parking becomes a problem, they have to address it. They have to address it, and the town can enforce that condition.
Gary? That sound
Yeah, no, a
reasonable?
condition like that can be done. So again, it was a suggestion either made by our peer review
was a peer
consultant
reviewer.
or you folks. I saw that condition suggested.
Not a problem.
And what I can recall, it was legitimate. There'd be a study done at the completion of 95% of occupancy, an evaluation made, and an opportunity for you to enforce a higher requirement if that was necessary.
Well, it's just something that can possibly happen. I mean, the sun might not come up tomorrow, we don't know. But the fact is, it can possibly happen. And if in the event you do have some sort of contingency plan, but you need space somewhere, you got to get it from somewhere, would it affect
so-
some of the amenities that are there, et cetera?
We'd be happy to accept a condition that if that study demonstrates that there's inadequate parking, that we have to provide supplemental parking off-site and transportation shuttle for the residents.
If I can ask another question, Mr. Chairman, I'm not...
Because this is going to come up for the next
But-
one, too, we're going to talk about.
So you don't have, unlike some of these other complexes that have come in where they've got a lot more land, you don't have the space within this to add 5 more spaces.
It's not a thing, it's not an issue, Mr. Chair, of us not being willing to provide the parking.
You just don't have the
No, no,
space.
You're essentially asking us to reduce the density of the development to meet a parking standard that is empirically unnecessary.
That wasn't brought up.
Well,
We're asking, the question is, do you have the accommodations on site to add space if you need to do
We
it?
don't.
But we can do it
There we go.
off-site.
They'd have to go off-site.
Yeah.
and
You gotta go
we'd be-
off-site.
We would
It's a
do it
risk-
off-site.
It is a risk the developer is taking. It's a
So
business
what you're
risk,
saying is,
And they wouldn't be taking
because
business
we're
risk.
requiring 2 spaces like we did with everybody else, you're worried about losing units because of the 2 spaces.
And what I'm
Have you
saying,
looked at it?
have I looked
Have
at,
you actually laid out 2 spaces to see how that would affect?
have we tried to?
No, you haven't. I asked you to do that.
No one has
No, we're
access.
trying to maximize the spaces that we have. We don't have enough room for 2 spaces.
This is, I think they've maxed it out here, is what they're saying. I don't want to speak for you, but I think
Get rid of the
you got all the
dog park.
spaces you can get right here. You can't get more spaces.
That's right. So
Width and length is dictated.
We don't see any reason to add any more spaces. All of our research, all of the other projects in town, in other places, the standard that your peer reviewer looked at, all of that.
We asked you
says we
to
have
look at
enough
this on the 2
spaces.
spaces, but no one's come back to me to say, well, there's the 2 spaces, and this is what we're going to lose.
If that's what you're
So do
asking.
you have an idea?
I don't remember
tell
that
me.
request, but so what
You're at how
you're,
many spaces on this particular one?
157,
You're at 1.5 or more?
150 spaces,
So that comes out to how much? 1.52 spaces?
1.52.
The-
Where would you provide this off-site parking?
We would have to address it.
Okay.
I'll take into,
It would be a
I'll take into
condition of approval.
consideration the consultant's comment, and again, he clearly stated right in the analysis that bylaws require 2 spaces per unit. I understand the fight back on it. I'll have to methodically go through that, but from your perspective, that when we talked about this and we started this, you didn't even try to see what would affect with 2 spaces. You didn't even try. You just try to jam it down our throat, and that's not appreciative.
I don't think that's a fair characterization, Mr. Chair.
You're not willing to take a look at it, and that's the fair characterization, is what I'm trying to say.
We can
You
take a
didn't even
look.
want to take a look at it and say, okay, well, it's going to affect 20 units. Well, that methodically will not work for us.
Would you like us to get rid of the amenity space in the middle and put parking there? I mean, we're not trying to be difficult, Mr. Chair. And
I'm not trying to be difficult.
but I feel like every 40B that comes before you asks for waivers of the bylaw, one provision or another. So just saying, well, this is the bylaw.
And we have waived. We've cooperated and waived. Each applicant has cooperated, and we worked it together.
Well, and we've been cooperating with a lot of the board's requests. This is one that
They're not willing to look at it.
it's not a matter of willing, it's a matter, we're being asked to eliminate units to provide unnecessary parking. That's different. No other applicant's been asked to do that. If you have a site where you can accommodate 2 parking spaces per unit,
There's no,
it's just extra pavement, and that's not a major cost, but losing units is a major.
Do you know how many you would lose?
let me just speak to this issue.
You have
And
70.
I do
Is it
take
ballpark?
exception. At the last hearing,
78.5.
you asked us to look at this issue, and we did look at the issue by counting parking spaces and by talking to the tax assessor. That's what we understood your request to be to us, not to pencil out 2 spaces per unit. Under 40B, you have, the regional need for affordable housing outweighs local concerns. What you are asking us to do is essentially get rid of our open space, which would impact the economic viability of the project. And at the end of the day, adding 2 parking spaces would impact the project economically.
Right, so, but that was my simple question.
And that is, economically, it would impact the character of the project, which we certainly don't want to do. We feel like we've designed a really, really nice building, and we're certainly happy to bring our architect in and show you what the building looks like again and what the amenity space looks like again. But you're making a request that would make the project uneconomic.
Well, this is why I'm having the discussion with
That is a whole
you.
nother discussion.
So how many
Another road.
units would
28
that?
units, Mr. Chair. We would
Okay,
lose 28
that's
units.
kind of what I'm looking for, because we certainly don't want to impact the situation where it's,
25, maybe 26 units now.
well, that's a lot of units.
It's still a lot.
But that's what I asked.
Exactly
It will make
27,
the
you round to
project
28 due to the-
uneconomic.
Yeah, well, that's all I asked for.
And that is a
the
very
reason
big
for that.
consideration under 40B.
So we're back to a possible contingency plan in the event that it does happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We would
Well,
accept
And
that.
that's, all I asked them to do was give me the concept of what's going to impact with the 2 spaces. I finally got an answer, and I'm appreciative of that, because I don't want to see you get nailed like that, but no one could tell me what you were losing.
I don't remember you ever asking that question.
Yeah, because I said, but based on the bylaws of 2 spaces,
On behalf of my team and myself, we apologize. We just did the math. I didn't hear that request, so I apologize for that, but it would be around 28 units.
that's a lot of units. Okay, thank you.
For what if,
That's what I
yeah.
was looking for.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Our
thank you.
apologies.
So the smart move here would be a contingency plan.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay. That's a good answer. Anything else we need to go through on the planning side or the fire department side? Talk to me about, and I don't want to jump to the, I'm just looking at the response going back and forth from the BSC group and of course Bowler. There's a recommendation here to look at a future mitigation or a possible mitigation. Can you explain that to me? There was indications here that, let's see here.
Do you know what number you're?
Safety mitigation.
It has to do with the 495.
Yeah, it had to do with 495, Beaver, Birch, Venice. Is there some type of recommendation to take a look at this? I think it even mentioned the town.
It's not an intersection that's under our control whatsoever. If somebody at some point looks at that intersection and comes up with concerns for recommendations for improvements, the developer has no problem paying their fair share of whatever those improvements may be.
So what were they recommended? Can someone tell me?
There is no recommendation.
I can speak a little bit to the process, yeah.
Yeah, please.
So what they're pointing out, and this was in our original traffic study, is that those two intersections along 109, the Beaver Street and the Birch Street signals, have crash rates that are slightly higher than the statewide average. So that's typically how you identify, is there a specific issue from a safety perspective? So that exists today. That the data, the crash data that we've looked at, that BSC has reviewed, has indicated there's an above average crash rate at both of those signals,
And more
which
than
is
likely, it was probably all the Amazon vans at that point in time when they were coming.
the
Wild and furious.
data currently is a 2017 to 2021 data set. So it's dated, admittedly, but that is how Mass DOT publishes. So what we do is we try to understand, will this project make anything worse? And we're adding fairly minimal amounts of traffic volume to each of those intersections, 5% or less.
Right, I see that.
I mean, essentially, that's the difference between like a Tuesday and a Thursday. You wouldn't be able to really notice the difference of 5% to the naked eye. So BSC is just bringing up the point of if there were an improvement there, and to Lynn's point, paying in a fair share is a typical approach. The project itself would be a rather significant project. My understanding, Mass Grant, right? I think that, yeah. I think that the town has been looking at improvements in this vicinity, independent of this project or any other project. I think that came out of the comprehensive plan, that there were some locations that the town is aware of. But again, it's a rather involved process because they're Mass DOT roadways.
Okay, I just wanted some clarity on it. Okay.
I said it before and I'll say it again. God can't fix Route 109. It's a mess.
We're trying, though, we're trying.
We're trying for
We're trying for 40 years.
years ago.
I was a young man when we started trying.
All right, moving on.
David, I want to just say one
Go
thing,
ahead.
because, again, I just want to be honest with everybody. On being involved on both sides of this table, being presented as a 40B and now listening to it, their parking numbers are very accurate, as their school children numbers are very accurate. So based on, again, me sitting on that side of the table, what they have presented is true data. So I'm just putting it out there.
I understand.
Like you said, John, just need a contingency plan.
Yep, no, I'm just saying that their data is accurate based on.
You guys, did you hire John?
No, I just want to put it out there because I've been on that side, so.
I respect that.
Okay, what else we need to touch upon? Anything else?
I think that's all we have for Beaver Street, if you
Okay.
don't have
Any other
more
comments or questions? Board members, any other comments or questions on Beaver?
No, sir.
You should set a continuance date and time.
Yeah, quick question, and because the plan doesn't show it. You have, I'm sure you have snow areas on, besides that one location?
Correct. Yeah, and we'll make sure it's crystal clear.
Yeah,
on
just,
what we
yeah,
provide.
just,
That was on
yeah, then the updated plan would be helpful to have that.
And David, we
Okay.
can add a recommendation that they can only have so many spaces that are taken up by snow, and then it has to be removed.
Yeah, right, well, this, and that's probably accounted for anyways on the
Yep.
plan. Okay, any other questions on 21 Beaver?
I hate to bring it up because we just discussed it, but the snow removal that you guys have there next to the dog park, that obviously is going to take up some parking spots, correct?
We're showing it off to the behind the curb, in those areas. We've got some.
Do you have access to get around, like those parking spots right next to the green that you have there? On my thing, on my plan, it shows, I don't know, 8, 9 parking spots right there. Is that where the snow removal, it's going to go behind that?
We're showing it behind it.
Okay, now my question is, there's 4 cars parked there, how are you going to get the snow removal?
Well, the tenants are going to have to get up and get out of the way.
What I
like
think
they
you-
usually do.
What I think you guys should do, if we're putting, you mentioned before about signs, if you know snow's coming or something, the management company should say, snow removal goes here. We gotta,
Yeah, that's an internal
Don't get to be an
communication.
operations
Yes,
plan.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
without it. We have not gotten to that point yet, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that'll all be internal within the company itself. Yeah.
And we can put that in our condition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yep. Good, okay. All right, any other comments on 21 Beaver? If not, we're going to need to continue this, so, and I think that's going to probably,
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sorry.
excuse me.
Yes.
Are we allowed to speak now?
oh, absolutely, just please introduce yourself.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jerry Edens. I live at 13 Tina Road in Precinct 7. I'm a town meeting member. I would like to start off by saying that I understand and appreciate the goal of the 40B projects, and I completely understand that there's a critical need for affordable housing in Milford. It's a nationwide crisis, right? It's not just Milford, and I understand that we need to provide more affordable housing in Milford. This particular proposal, with all due respect to the applicant, I think is a terrible location for an apartment complex. It's not in a residential area of town. It's densely populated with commercial businesses. It's on a one-way street at one of the worst intersections in the entire community.
I'm sorry, what's your first name?
It's Jerry
Okay.
Edens.
Jerry, so just to kind of give you a quick overview,
Yes,
the 40B component bylaws, they can go in any zone.
I completely understand that, yes,
They have the right.
yes.
Matter of fact, they can bypass us and do it as a matter of right because of where we were on the affordable component. So when these applications come in, Town of Milford was at 9.5%.
Yes,
We can't stop it. We
Yes.
try to cooperate with the developers. They choose locations. We need to work through it.
I understand
Regretfully.
that. I completely understand that. I've been watching these hearings. I've been watching the planning board hearings. And I'm here as somebody who's lived here over 30 years, a resident, expressing my concerns to you, the ZBA.
I've been here all my life.
I've understood, yes, I'm aware. There are multiple problems with this project and this location. You addressed it earlier, and I've heard it in your previous hearings, the problem with the safety issues with being on Beaver Street, being a one-way road. I don't understand how that would be allowed, but it's a concern. It's a concern for everybody in the community.
We have Stone Ridge up off of next to
Yes.
85, and that's a dead-end road.
Yes,
And that
yes.
was originally supposed to be an office park.
Right, right.
We just can't stop it,
Right, right.
regretfully.
The state approves this, and
This is all through Mass Housing in the state. They're allowed to develop it under the 40B guideline, and we try to work the best we can, but it's just not something that we can actually stop.
Okay. So, but this is a public hearing and.
You can stay, yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. You absolutely can speak. Anybody who wants to speak on this, they're happy to speak.
Okay, so, okay, the location is terrible.
no argument.
It's very, the traffic there is a nightmare already. I understand that the traffic studies are using 2019 data. I'm sure in these last few years, the traffic is even worse. If someone were to do a new traffic study, it's going to be exacerbated by the approval of the 24/7 warehouse facility that's going to be built on Route 16 that was just approved by special permit by the planning board last week. We'll have big trucks going on and off of 495. We're talking about squeezing this apartment complex in between an entrance ramp to 495, a McDonald's, a 4-lane road. It's a really great location if you're a fan of Big Macs and Whoppers because Burger King and McDonald's are there. But for somebody who values clean air, quiet, and personal safety, it's a nightmare location. And
I don't know if Amazon tractor trailer trucks was going to be any better. Or
so,
600 or 700 vans. In and out of there.
right, okay. So my last point is, in conjunction with all of these hearings, planning board, ZBA hearings, the town is also working with the MAPC for a long-range plan. And traffic is one of the issues that keeps coming to the forefront of the concerns that are being addressed. In one of the meetings, Mr. Josh, I can't pronounce his last name, but the director who's running the research here in Milford made a recommendation for pursuing 40B housing downtown. That makes a lot of sense to me. We're talking about parking issues at this particular development on Beaver Street, and I understand what you said, that their numbers are probably right. But the fact of the matter is, whoever's living there isn't going to be walking to, I mean, they might be walking to McDonald's, they might be walking to Kohl's, but they're not going to be walking to work. Whereas if we were to pursue developing 40B housing projects in the downtown corridor, where we have all of our cultural amenities, their schools, their churches, we're here, that makes so much more sense, and people would not necessarily need a car. And so, moving forward, I feel like the town, and perhaps I'm missing this because there's not a lot of news coverage about what's happening with the 40B developments. You have to watch the meetings, right, in order to find out what's going on.
Right.
So maybe I'm missing something, but it seems to me that the town is constantly playing defense. And there's not a lot of planning happening. I'm not sure whose role that is, but I would love to see the town pursue its own 40B projects, its own affordable housing projects, and other locations that make much better sense. Also, I wonder if it's possible to work with our state legislators on the formula for the 40B to determine, the 10%.
We have a census that's going to come out in 2030 that may increase.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just so the individuals understand, when these applications were filed with the other two, we were at 9.5%. We're now at 11.5%.
Right.
We just had a hearing last week where we gave them the notice, which will stand, and stayed that for other reasons. So we, again, as of now, we're at 11.5%, but we're considering this application and the other two applications, we're at 9.5%. That's, regrettably, that's the law. We have nothing we can do about that.
Yes, I understand that, and I heard you say that at the meeting.
Oh, you were there, that's right.
I was here, yes.
And I've been a proponent for downtown housing above first floor retail for the last 25 years. And it all became about issues with parking. The simple aspect is the landlord will, you have plenty of parking downtown.
Yes,
You do.
I agree.
Overnight, you assign 1.5 spaces or 1.3 spaces to the tenants upstairs for overnight parking. During the day, it's open parking. All of these downtown communities are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
For some reason, we can't get off our stick to do that. And you know why?
I don't.
Exactly what they're doing here.
Right.
It's to 2 spaces per unit. That doesn't always get used. That's the reason.
Okay.
So to do that downtown, we would be running right along where they're proposing the parking space it is, because all that parking does not get utilized.
And just, Mr. Chairman, if I can interject in terms of downtown or what might be done downtown, there's been a lot of talk about that over my years here, which are many. But the point, it's not this board that has anything to do with that. That's for the planning board and the board of selectmen. And that's where you should be addressing those kinds of issues.
I
Okay,
agree with you.
okay, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been on and off the table for many, many years.
Okay,
We should have done what Hudson done a long time ago.
agreed.
Long time ago.
So we'll do the best we can, but for these here, we're moving forward. Okay?
Okay.
Anybody else?
Thank you for listening
Anybody else?
to my-
Oh, anytime, anytime. And if you need to talk with me outside this meeting, see Melissa, she'll give you my phone number. I'm happy to talk with you. Okay? You're welcome. Anybody else want to comment right now? We'll keep moving forward. Okay.
Could I just ask Melissa, how many hard copy, full-size plans do you need again? Can you just remind me of that?
Oh, we probably don't.
Resubmissions,
I'd say 10, maybe 10.
10 full-size sets of the plans. Okay, so we'll get you electronic and then we'll file up with hard copy.
Yeah, it'd be helpful. It's nice to see the bigger ones because my eyes aren't great. Okay, let's move on to.
You pick a date
We
for.
have to set a date for
Oh,
the next
well,
meeting.
that's going to be.
Well, you have to announce the
Actually,
date and time
my
now.
question was going to be, how much time are you people going to need to dissect into the sewer aspect of that?
Okay, and let me just look at the calendar. Is your preferred night on the Tuesday night?
Not necessarily.
Okay. So we would like to suggest perhaps having a meeting the week of the 31st, if possible. The 31st and 1st of April. April? Are we already in April? How did that
Not
happen?
yet, no, we're still in February.
Talking about March or April?
March.
March.
End of March you're talking about.
I think
Right,
we're-
we have,
I think we're in the 47th
Oh,
day
wait
of
a minute,
February,
I'm
to
so
be honest with
sorry.
you.
April 1st.
yeah, so
away.
April, April 1st, 2nd, or 3rd at the moment is
Our
open.
regular zoning is the 10th, right, in April?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th?
First, second, or third.
First, 2nd,
First, 2nd, and 3rd?
Do the 3rd, that would be great.
The 3rd?
3rd of April?
Does that work?
Oh, wait, no, don't we have?
No, that's next week. We're going the third.
We can, the 2nd, what, Wednesday?
Third's going once, going twice. Third it is. 6:30 on the 3rd?
The 3rd? Board members, because you need to be here.
right?
This is
April,
April, yeah. Chris?
Yes, no problem.
And we hope that we can cover the civil and see where we're landing on sewer. I think there's going to be a
Okay.
lot of back and forth on that.
All right.
Plans that you're putting together, are those going to be close to being the final plans, based upon all the changes that have been recommended? And, okay.
Yeah, they should be. Frankly, I've addressed all of the CEI comments. I
Right.
just didn't want to submit the
I
big
understand.
set last
But
minute.
this will be damn close to the
Yeah,
final plans.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, good, great. Okay, so that's on the 3rd, and I'm assuming maybe Fortune will go on the same night?
Yes, please.
We're going to do 6:30, right?
Yep.
Everybody good for 6:30?
Yep.
Unless you want to push it up to 6.
They're coming in from out of town, so.
Well, yeah, you
I can leave
guys,
my office at 4:30.
6 would be great.
it's up to you. I'm okay with 6, 6:30 is fine too.
I'm really full.
You guys can think about it and tell me at the end.
6:30 would be preferred, if that's fine.
Tell you right
6:30?
now, we need to announce it right now, so we got to
6:30.
choose a time.
6:30.
6:30 it is.
6:30.
Okay.
6:30.
6:30. All right, let's move on to 310 Fortune Boulevard. Okay. Let me get that folder out.
Kind of decompress when you get back.
Okay, same situation with 310 Fortune Boulevard. I'll read the letter from the sewer department and the consultant on this one, GHD. John, what's the name of them, GHD?
Maybe I missed one on GHD.
Okay. Has completed a general review of the sewer infrastructure that would be impacted by the project referenced above, and have determined that the work will be needed at the Town of Milford's 109 pump station. This includes but not limited to the need of the following: additional wet well capacity, interconnecting pipings, replacement of pumps, replacement of pump control panel and associate controls, electrical work to accommodate the new equipment, engineering to bid the work, and project contingency and allowance for inflation. And that's 310 Fortune. If you want, what would you like to do, go over on the responses back? I see that the Bowler one was February 20th, and I've got the update from today. It came in, right? Traffic? Want to go with traffic? What do you want to do?
Traffic, Jason, and then we'll go into the rest.
Yeah. Again, Jason Adams with Bowman Consulting. So I think it's similar story to the previous project with the BSC exchange. They had brought up a few housekeeping items within their first response. Looking over their second letter, the letter dated February 18th, really we see the only action item being the same parking follow-up study as the Beaver Street location. My read of this is that they are fine with the way all of the traffic analysis volumes were completed. They had asked for a little bit of a clarification on both the site triangles and the sidewalk, which John will be adding to his updated plan set. And then we have the parking. This project has a parking ratio of 1.81, 1.88, which again is greater than the 1.33 spaces per unit that was observed at the two similar locations here in town, and also exceeds the Institute of Transportation Engineers data. So higher parking ratio, still understanding it's below the two, but a good bit more than what is really necessary in our professional opinion.
We also had a letter that had answers from the fire department. Why don't I have that one?
Yeah, you might. Honestly, I was just looking at it, and then it looks like my team actually labeled the wrong address. So it might say Beaver Street on it to add to some confusion. I was noticing
The
that.
unsigned letter, that I sent the unsigned letter by mistake.
The February 20th, too.
Dave, you looking for a fire department letter?
No, I thought I had a communication today that was dated 25th,
From the fire
and
department?
it addressed the issues with the fire department access, and actually,
It's our response.
Your response, okay.
Why don't we let
Yeah, I can
John
speak.
respond?
yeah, I thought I had it.
I think part of it, you might have put it in the other folder, because I was looking at it for the hearing. I think we labeled it Beaver Street, and that might be why you're not finding it right now. So my apologies for that confusion.
Well, you're stuck in the wrong file.
Oh,
I got,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get you a revised
Oh, we've got
correspondence
that.
with the
Okay.
right address.
Yeah,
Don't worry
that's
about
fine.
it.
No, I did speak, and I know that you guys went back and forth with the fire chief concerning slope, grade. I had a discussion with him today concerning it, because clearly we don't want the trucks bottoming out, going up or coming down. Okay.
Which I think we're good with, my opinion. I think we've addressed all the comments.
Yeah, you got a very fine line to make that work, so.
Yeah, yep, which I think it does work. It's with the grade, 9%, it's totally appropriate for front board. We draw it at 1 foot contour, so it looks maybe a little worse than it is.
And it was nice to see the drafting of the fire trucks in here, so that you've got a vision of how they can make that loop.
Yeah, we just wanted to show everything. We ran based on our first meeting, we ran all of the trucks. He actually gave us an updated truck, which was frankly slightly smaller than the one we ran. So we just reran it with the updated truck. So the last truck worked, this truck worked as well. So we've provided the response was comments, we provided the truck turns. Again, as far as we understand, most one's telling us differently. We've addressed his comments, had a very good meeting with him up front, and very collaborative.
Yeah, you're just going to really have to focus on that slope and making sure you're right on the money for that.
Yeah, we're comfortable with that, and I don't see an issue with the level landing at the bottom and the top. But you run into trouble sometimes if you just start up a slope and you don't have that transition. We've provided the transition areas.
Yeah, I saw the comments on the traffic. All made sense. So that seems to be fine, especially when you have some of these curb cuts going up the street between Clark's, Toyota.
Yeah.
So I saw all those and went through those.
And it's similar to last time, you were very interested in the hut for
Yeah.
children. So we've provided that on the plan. It's a little bit different than Beaver Street, as we're set back a little bit further.
Right, right.
So from looking at that, what we felt has made the most sense is we're showing the shelter down the bottom. Again, we've got to walk the entire way to get there, so we show a shelter by the road where obviously the bus would stop. But we would also designate those last couple of parking spaces. We just designate that as drop-off locations in case somebody just wanted to park there and wait with them. I looked at potentially putting a pull-off here, which I can do. I don't think it's as good because the grade, that's right on that slope, so you're on a 8.5% slope.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's good having a car door flying open, which is why I didn't propose it there. But I do think you've got a line of sight down to that location.
So what's the elevation difference where you have the kids' hut?
Yep.
And is there any way a car can actually slide down and hit that? Or is there a mechanism that we can maybe put something there to prevent that from hitting a car sliding down? God forbid there's black ice.
So the concern...
Yeah.
Bollards, yeah.
Yeah, so the concern is if the car slides down and hits
Yeah,
hits
yeah.
that. So it is a full curb there, is what we have. If the
We'd be
board
happy to
wanted
add
something else,
bollards.
we can add
What
some
do you have for
bollards.
curb there?
It's a 6-inch curb.
What is it? 6-inch curb? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't think it's necessary. If the board
Yeah.
would like it, it's easy enough to do. We don't have.
Yeah, I'm just, a couple of bollards would probably
Absolutely.
save a lot of people some aggravation. God forbid we don't,
There's always somebody not paying attention.
a friend of mine got rear-ended at full speed
Yeah.
by someone texting in a van on 45. Yeah.
I got nailed on a bicycle by somebody texting.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not a problem. We could add concern coming down the hill, so we just add them.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can do that.
And what's the, I see you got the red space, you got a space up there. I couldn't read on the plan because it wasn't on the one I printed out.
Yeah, so essentially, we put a couple of signs up here and just have that be designated as the drop-off areas.
Okay.
So that way, and again, the furthest ones, nobody would want to park there, so I think it'd be open anyway, but just to be safe, we'd add some signage, put a crosswalk. We've already had the sidewalk, but we'd make sure we have an accessible, little ramp right there. People can get across and kind of walk on.
What's the width of the sidewalk, if you don't mind me asking?
It's 5 feet. 5 feet, 5.5 feet, you go to curb, 5 feet out.
Okay. Again, same thing on the curb. Good, all right. Any other comments, questions?
You want to talk about the planning board letter?
Yeah, we've addressed the planning board letter, just for the record.
Oh, for all of theirs, yeah. I went through everything concerning your grade changes, your slopes. Fire chief felt much more comfortable. Of course, they all want to be around the building, but we know that. And the sidewalk in back of the building, is that 5 feet?
I think it's more than 5 feet.
I just couldn't remember if it was 5, 4.
It is 5 feet. We have more, what it was, we have more area beyond the sidewalk. We pulled the sidewalk in from the existing pavement, if you recall.
Yes.
So the sidewalk that we're constructing is 5 feet, and then there's probably an additional, right around 10 feet, beyond that. That was the paved area. We're going to tear up the pavement, but we didn't want to go right up against the slope.
Right,
That's why we moved
okay.
back.
All right. And then we already talked about the fire trucks getting access to both sides and what that mechanism is going to be as far as the strength to hold that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we reviewed that with them when we met with them,
Right.
and it's pretty standard products. It looks like grass, but it's structural. So you can drive over it, not running.
And then you'll probably do the snow storage on the next plan too, just to give us an idea of
Yep.
where you think that may be.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's very clear where that is.
Okay? I know you're showing some landscaping on this plan, but you haven't defined the landscaping, correct?
Yeah, we just have
Yeah, once I saw it, I don't know if that's a tree over there on the, facing the building on the right side.
I didn't print
I just don't want that area to get impeded if a fire truck's got to go to the side of the building. That's all. But that's a minor. Okay. Questions, comments?
Oh, good.
Anybody, questions, comments? Okay, so with that, same thing is going to apply. We're going to be addressing the sewer, the access. Just double check to make sure the 2 bollards will definitely prevent that. We just don't want something tragically to happen. Your curb cuts were widened out below, according to what I've been told, and clearly the fire apparatus and the fire trucks, he's happy he's got that accessibility. The as-built plans are all going to be part of that final decision no matter what. Okay. With that, we'll continue this hearing till April 3rd as well. So,
What's our, John, off the top of your head, what's our 880-day deadline? Do you know?
I think it's end of April.
Next week, we
Maybe a
find.
little bit more than that, actually, maybe in May. Because doesn't it run from the date of the first hearing?
24th.
80 days, so that should be in
Yeah, it
May.
was November something.
But I presume if we get close and we need a little more time, I presume you guys will.
We want to work with you.
I figured that.
So if there's something that needs to be answered, we're going to
Yeah,
answer.
we'll check it out and see what the exact date is, but I think it's. in
Yeah, because
May.
then we're going to start the process with all the conditions
Well,
and
you
all
gotta start,
that.
then you gotta start.
We gotta put all that together, yeah.
Thinking about conditions, we'll be
Yeah.
getting some from the peer review consultants, so yeah, that takes some time.
On that note, how have you handled drafting the decisions if you had the applicant draft
I
the
draft
decision? You do the first draft?
Yeah, and thanks to Mark Kukowski, yes, he did a fine job on the first one we did, and I've plagiarized that one ever since then. so.
Excellent. We're very familiar
So it
with
would look the
it.
same if I drafted
I
it.
think it probably would look largely the same with a few little tweaks, yeah.
Okay.
He did a nice job.
Okay, so with that, we'll continue this hearing also till April 3rd at
6:30.
6:30, right? Yes. And just reminding board members that we have a regular zoning board meeting, I think, the following week, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so with that, we'll close this hearing, and we'll continue both of these until the 3rd. If any other comments or questions? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by John, seconded by Dave. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. We appreciate it. And thank you, the residents, for speaking up. We appreciate that. And again, if you need my phone number, we'll give it to you. Thank you, everyone.